So Ethan Klein held a stream with like the one Palestinian token who is being used lately by Zionists to sort of say, hey, look, we have a Palestinian who agrees with us. And you can tell that they keep reusing the exact same guy. There's like 5 to 10 of these guys total. By how much difficulty these people have finding a token who will say what they want to say. They all get the same guy, Ahmed Fouad Alkhatib. Like it's the same guy I made a video about back in November last year. They just keep reusing these guys. They just keep reusing the same guy. They keep trotting them out. And Ethan Klein, who previously said, you know, he would never use a Palestinian as a token. He'd never do that. Literally a month ago, he said that, by the way.
Like, I'm going to be like, hey, you need to, you know, I have a whole group of Palestinian friends who are pro-Israel. By the way, there's a lot of them. They exist.
There's a lot of them. There's so many of them that he had to find the one guy who's constantly trotted out by Zionists. Like the one fucking guy they all know and love. They always bring the exact same guy on.
Imagine me telling, this is exactly analogous. Me
it's
going
exactly
to Hassan
analogous.
or Ian, I need you to go talk to my Palestinian friend who's pro-Israeli. Like you'll listen to him. Mm-hmm. Do you see the problem?
Just don't understand
also,
that.
it's just tokenizing minorities, which is just like, it made me uncomfortable. And it's not something I would ever do. I would never be like, yo, you need to go talk to the Palestinian pro-Israelis because you'll listen to them. Like, I would never do that. That feels dirty. That feels insane.
He's been doing it with this guy for fucking months, and now he invites him onto his stream.
Actually will.
So, Ahmed Fouad Alkhatib works for the Atlantic Council. He is paid by the Atlantic Council to spread pro-Israel talking points and preface them with, as a Palestinian. You can see him listed on the website of the Atlantic Council here. Resident Senior Fellow of the Atlantic Council. Great. So, what is the Atlantic Council? Well, it is a Pentagon and US government-funded think tank that is also heavily funded by the American arms industry. Don't take my word for that, I'll show you. The Atlantic Council is the #1 think tank recipient of funding from Pentagon contractors, receiving $10 million in the period from 2019 to 2023. The Atlantic Council came in 4th on the list of think tanks that received the most funding from the US government, with $8 million from 2019 to 2023. Notable donors to the Atlantic Council include the Charles Koch Foundation, Amazon, and Verizon. Other notable donors include the Lockheed Martin Corporation, Raytheon Technologies. So the Atlantic Council is just a US government propaganda cutout. It is essentially an arm of the US government that is made to look like an independent organization that is in its majority funded by the US government and the Pentagon and weapons contractors, along with American government allies like the United Arab Emirates. So this is an organization, to be clear, that is just an arm of the American government in everything but name, in everything but official, like on paper record. That is who Ahmed Fouad Alkhatib is employed by, and that is who Ethan Klein chooses to feature on his podcast. Ethan Klein's like, you know what? They keep saying I'm not pro-Palestine. I never do anything pro-Palestine. I never do fundraisers for Palestine. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to invite a token Palestinian who is an employee of a fucking US government-funded think tank, of a Pentagon-funded think tank, of a weapons contractor-funded think tank. You know, all those people currently doing genocide in Gaza, all of them pro-Israel. I'm going to bring him on to show that I'm actually pro-Palestinian. I'm going to bring this guy on who is just a straight-up Zionist, and I'm going to tokenize him, as I have denounced others for supposedly doing in the past with Israelis and Jews. Now, it's actually even worse than that, because in this H3 podcast episode, Ethan actually solicits donations to Ahmed Fouad Alkhatib's Atlantic Council, and he calls it Donate to Palestine. So he tries to fool people into believing that you are donating to Palestine by donating to this think tank, this literal US government-funded think tank. Here is the segment you can see. Donate to Palestine is the name of this segment.
Work at the Atlantic Council, where I am a resident senior fellow, but also I run Realign for Palestine through the Atlantic Council, and I have a we have like our own standalone website, realignforpalestine.org. There is a donate button.
Okay, so let's check out Realign for Palestine, which was just solicited for donations on the H3 podcast and the Donate for Palestine label. Join the movement, engage with us. They solicit donations on their website. Donate to the movement. Now, it's interesting where this actually goes, because this is a donation to the Atlantic Council. You know, there's nothing here about donating to a charity or anything. This is just money to the Atlantic Council, because Realign for Palestine is just the Atlantic Council. It's an outcropping of the Atlantic Council, as you can see listed on their website right here. So Ethan Klein, instead of directing donations to like the UNRWA or the PCRF or something like that, he directs donations to a fucking US government outcrop think tank in the name of supposedly donating to Palestine. Not a single fucking dollar from this is going to Palestine. It's going to the Atlantic Council, and it's specifically going to Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib, because this is Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib's personal project. What this is the Atlantic Council with Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib at the helm of this project. They needed something that made it look like they had more than just one pro-Israel Palestinian who was paid off to do Zionist propaganda. So they created this website, and they call it a movement. You know, engage with us. They use plurals. They act like this is more than just one person. This is a strategy that is often used by like wrecker organizations, by infiltrators, to try and make it seem like they are the real movement and you can join them in lieu of the other movement. But what this actually is just fucking Ahmed. It's Ahmed. It's all Ahmed. It's one person who is being made to look like a whole organization. But like, you go to any of their social media pages, like their Twitter, everything on here that claims to be from a Palestinian is just from fucking Ahmed. It's literally just like a personal vanity page. It's made to look like it's not just him. You know, first post that we see, it's just Ahmed. It's Ahmed giving a talk. At a recent event, Ahmed was there. You know, video by Ahmed. It's an organization that is just one person made to masquerade as like a legitimate pro-Palestinian organization, as an initiative of the US government funded and the weapons industry funded, the people who are currently genociding Gaza in this moment, to try and mislead people into believing that this is like the true pro-Palestine movement, when it's literally one fucking, I'd call him a capo, but he's worse than a capo. Because capos were still concentration camp inmates. They betrayed their brothers and their sisters and everyone else in a quest to like try to avoid the shitty situation that they were in. This guy, he's not made to do this. He's doing this purely out of greed. He's not going to be killed if he doesn't do this like the capos would be. So he's worse than a capo. This entire website, violence is immoral, unethical, and ineffective, but he never blames Israel for it. This is just radical pragmatism. Calls for more violence must be rejected. Violence only fosters fear, resentment, and retribution. He's clearly talking about Palestinians there, right? There's no mention of the Israeli genocide currently being conducted. 2 states for 2 people. October 7th proved the futility of violent armed resistance. You know what the better thing to do is? Lay down and let the Israelis kill you. Realign from black and white narratives to multiple truths? There can't be multiple truths. Only one thing can be true. If there's a conflict between those two, then only one thing can be true. Multiple things can be true at the same time. Palestinians and Israelis each have legitimate grievances. The Palestinian grievances is that they're genociding us. The Israeli grievance is that they're resisting our genocide. Holy shit. Realign from hateful words to helpful actions. We need to ditch slogans like from the river to the sea. And who's we? It's Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib. We. You see what I mean with them framing one pro-Israel guy as if he's like an entire movement to try and mislead people? That's what this is. It's obvious why this appeals so much to Ethan Klein. So Ethan Klein solicited fucking donations for the fucking Atlantic Council. He solicited donations for the Atlantic Council, pro-US, pro-Israel think tank, and is misleading people into thinking that this is a donation for Palestinians, for Palestine, to Palestine. This is literally a donation into the pockets of Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib and the Atlantic Council. They already receive $20 million in funding from the arms industry and from the US government. Why do they need more money from you? This is honestly fucking disgusting. Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib, by the way, is someone who has called for the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. If you want to know how much of a pro-Israel shill he is, then, I mean, that is more than enough. Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib attempting to legitimize Israel's plan of genocide and ethnic cleansing in Gaza. He says, Gaza is the only war in modern history in which people insist on having a civilian population remain trapped in a war zone, and any attempt to get them out of harm's way is met with condemnation, all while refusing to call out the evil terror organization that started the war. So you can see here clearly, Israel has openly declared for months now that it is planning to physically eliminate or expel all Palestinians from Gaza, and that they will not be allowed to return. And they are currently carrying this out. They are massacring people, and they are attempting to force them out or kill them all. And his reaction to that is not to condemn that. It is to say, you know who's to blame for this? People who are pointing out the fact that when Israel ethnically cleanses people, they never let them come back, and that Israel is openly saying that they're not going to let them come back after they ethnically cleanse them. What he's saying is just, what are these weirdos who insist that instead of just allowing these people to leave this war zone, they stay and Israel ceases massacring them? What is with those fucking crazy fuckers, right? His entire thing is to try to make Israel's actions look rational, and to try and make those who oppose them or who blame Israel for them look insane. That's his strategy. Basically, he says, as a Palestinian, and then he spouts like Netanyahu government propaganda. That is what this guy does, and this is the guy who Ethan decided to invite to his fucking podcast. I just want to note as well, by the way, that he hilariously, like this Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib guy, I challenged him to a debate live months ago. He literally blocked me immediately on everything. Like, he even went and found my other platforms and blocked me there before I could challenge him to a debate preemptively. Here is Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib, who, to be clear, never made any attempt to respond to the previous video that I made on him, trying to frame himself as a victim of harassment because the fact that he is a paid propagandist for a pro-Israel US government outcropping organization was revealed. Rather than attempt to refute the facts, this is what he says.
Like, I don't know Mr. Piker. I know of him through you explicitly. I am disappointed recently by the fact that he hosted.
This guy literally looks like a rat, by the way. Holy shit. I could not imagine a better look for a traitor. He's 35, if you can believe that. I cannot believe that.
A gentleman by the name of the Bad Empanada.
Oh, you know about him?
The Bad Empanada has incited so heavily against me. Some of the worst
Notice how there's no evidence
that I have received against my life came from people directly affiliated.
Do you know how often?
Just want to note that this guy's entire family was literally massacred by Israel. Israel killed his entire family. Literally, about 40 of them were directly targeted by the Israeli state and killed in their home. The survivors were then targeted in a refugee camp and they were killed. This guy has never denounced the Israeli state for that. He has denounced me, though. He has denounced me for calling him out for receiving money from the US government and from a pro-Israel think tank to do pro-Israel propaganda. This guy literally would sell his own child if it got him money. He sells out not just his own people, he sells out his own fucking family. He will say and do anything they want from him for whatever it is that they pay him.
Can I hear that?
Yeah.
And he did a whole hit piece on me.
A whole hit piece. What about it is incorrect? You know, I challenged him through a debate in which he was free to hop on stream and explain to me what I got wrong. He did not. So just so that we know this, the felony charity scammer, Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib, was outed in my video called The Palestinian Token Industry. I greatly encourage you to go and check it out. He is covered in part 3 of this video, and at no point does Ahmed ever actually debunk a thing that I have to say about him. At no point did he ever accept my offer to come on stream and attempt to explain what I got wrong about him. Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib is a paid pro-Israel propagandist who advocates for the genocide of the Palestinian people. That is who he is.
Dedicated so much of his energy to me, and I was like, dude, just let it go, let it be. There was a hit piece.
It's a hit piece. It's a hit piece. I can't explain how and why. I can't explain what's wrong about it. It's just a hit piece. It's just a hit piece. That's how you know that you're right. When they can never try to actually refute you, that's how you know when you're right.
Basically, a leftist rag that's like a Russian, Iranian, North Korean propaganda outlet that claims
what?
Israel is paying me $30 million to promote that guy.
Here's what I actually said. You notice how he has to lie about what he's actually said because he cannot refute it. He is afraid to be confronted on this. If he was confronted on this, his reputation would be fucking destroyed. He's basically used as a tool by the Atlantic Council to mislead people into advocating for liberal Zionism instead of pro-Palestine anything. And as a part of this, he needs to be specifically insulated from any challenge to his position. So he needs to make shit up and he needs to specifically avoid what people actually said about him, because otherwise the jig would be up. And now, wouldn't you know it, he's a senior resident fellow for the Atlantic Council, a pro-US government and pro-Israel think tank. From them, he is undoubtedly earning at least a 6-figure salary on top of all the other income that he's generating from this from other sources. So I said he's earning at least a 6-figure income from the Atlantic Council, which is just objectively true. And now he's getting paid via donations sent for Palestine to the Atlantic Council. So, yeah, the way that he characterizes that is, he cited a North Korean Russian propaganda which said I'm paid $30 million. No, you're not worth that much. You sold your soul for way fucking less than that, Ahmed. You're a cheap little lapdog. They bought you out for almost nothing in comparison to what you want people to believe.
And of course, Mr. Empanada just and he called me the final boss of respectability politics.
Absolutely.
And again, and I'm speaking.
He thinks so much about this, but he can't refute it. Notice, he will not even directly engage with a word that I said, let alone talk to me live, which, to be clear, contact me at any time, Ahmed. You don't get to talk about someone like this and be afraid to fucking confront what they actually have to say about you.
About this not in a personalized sense. I've had way worse guys than Mr.
He literally is. By the way, the first thing that he did, rather than actually respond to anything that I said, was just claim that I was a pedophile. So Ahmed Fouad Alkhatib is a pedophile. Just to be clear, he's a pedophile.
Empanada come out. I've had Al-Qaeda guys straight up, and it's all here threatened to...
It's all here. There's no evidence of this. He just makes shit up. You notice how the victim complex runs deep with the Zionists. And all that he does is identity politics. It's, I'm a Palestinian, I'm spouting Zionist talking points. And because I'm Palestinian, that makes me correct.
Al-Qaeda guys coming after me to the point where I've had to acquire the means to defend myself.
Oh my fucking God.
This is not a pity party. I'm simply saying...
It's literally what it is. You cannot refute the facts about you, so you play victim.
Having Mr. Hassan and the bad Empanada, two non-Palestinians sitting up there pontificating about, what is good for the Palestinians and genocide this and genocide that. And
wow, mocking genocide. Now, this is what someone would do if they were really, really not just a Zionist.
Resistance, how pompous can one get is that. But Mr. Piker, if he has any interest in actually engaging in this and actually
okay, we're gonna get this guy on with Hassan, and I'm just gonna get in the call.
Engaging in a goodwill conversation.
I would love that. I would love to see him talk to you.
Oh my God, how fucking dare he say that when he's been afraid of debating me for so long. Anyway, so Ahmed, I have a challenge for you. Let's get a demographically representative selection of Palestinians, 100 of them. Let's put them in a room. First, I will go in there. I will explain to them my views on the Palestinian cause, Zionism and all of that. I will be there for an hour. And I guarantee you I will come out not just unscathed, but with new friends. Then after that, you go into that room. You explain honestly your views, the stuff that you say for the Atlantic Council, the stuff that you say here. I am open to this challenge of you at any point, okay? We will see between you and me whose views actually represent the Palestinian people more. And the way that we will do this is by both of us actually directly addressing Palestinians, not just one single token Palestinian like yourself, but a representative sample of the Palestinian population. We can do this at any time, Ahmed. Anytime you want. Because I 100% guarantee you that if you ever actually say the things that you said in this conversation, that you say in general, to the Atlantic Council and stuff like that, to actual Palestinians, it is not going to go well for you. I think you tried to run away, but honestly, looking at you, I don't think you're very capable of running, Ahmed. So I think that's a situation that you'd probably like to avoid in general. It's just, I'm a Palestinian. Identity politics. How dare you say that I'm wrong as a Palestinian? You're a Zionist. There's a reason why the Zionists can't get traitors like you. They have maybe 5 of them total, and you're the only one who they're prominently featuring lately at all. You know why that is? Because their cause is so blatantly and obviously wrong, and Palestinians so blatantly hate them for all of the right reasons, that they can't find other guys. All they can find is you. All they can fucking find is you and 2 other guys who only post on Twitter, and fucking Mossab Hassan Youssef, the son of Hamas, who's at this point too extreme to even launder Zionism as a Palestinian standpoint. There's literally 5 of you. The fact of the matter is that if you tried to go to Palestine and you said the things that you normally say to normal Palestinians, they would fucking hate you. You would get run out, or you would try to run away at least. But yeah, what a fucking joke this loser is. Imagine a debate with him. God, he would get called the fuck out, and he would just say, as a Palestinian, how dare you say that? Buddy, I will say it to you, I will say it to anyone. As a Palestinian, my pro-Israel talking points are somehow more valid due to my identity. What a fucking joke. So, to recap here is where you can report charity fraud on the FBI website. online charity fraud. At the Internet Crime Complaint Center, this goes to the FBI. And it is not a false report in the USA to report things that actually happened to law enforcement agents. This is from the Electronic Code of Federal Regulations. A false report is when a person who knowingly gives false information to any law enforcement officer with the purpose to implicate another, or when they report to law enforcement authorities an offense or other incident within that concern knowing that it did not occur, or pretends to furnish such authorities with information relating to an offense or incident when he or she knows he or she has no information relating to an offense or incident. So, it is not against the law to report something that actually happened. As long as it actually did happen and you genuinely believe that it is a violation of the law, you are not committing any offense by doing so. So, this actually did happen. They did actually say that you are donating to Palestine by sending money to the Atlantic Council. And if you believe that this is a crime, a violation of federal US law against laws regarding charity fraud, you can complain about this at icfree.gov. And you are completely in the clear because it's up to the FBI to decide on whether your complaint is actionable or not, whether they want to pursue it or not. It's not up to fucking Ethan Klein screaming about this being a felony, which to be clear, it's not a felony. It's a misdemeanor, not a fucking felony. It's a misdemeanor, but this is not even that because you are giving them information about something that factually did happen. It's not up to you to decide whether it is actually a crime or not, or whether they should actually pursue it or not. That's up to them. But you cannot be committing a crime merely by the virtue of reporting something that did actually happen. So yeah, if you believe that it is a crime to say donate to Palestine and send people to a website which just sends money to the fucking pro-US, pro-Israel think tank, the Atlantic Council, which will never be in the hands of a single Gazan Palestinian or anyone in actual Palestine. The only Palestinian it's going to go to is to line the pockets of fucking Ahmed himself. Then you should report that on icfree.gov. Aside from that, he also continued here, by the way, and he went on to recommend a charity aside from his own. So he's trying to draw an equivalence, aside from his own think tank, rather. He's trying to draw an equivalence here between his think tank and the World Food Program. He's trying to put them together as if they're equal charities that you should you can choose to donate to one or the other if you want to help Palestinians.
As I work at the Atlantic Council, where I am a resident senior fellow, but also I run Realign for Palestine through the Atlantic Council, and I have we have our own standalone website, realignforpalestine.org. There is a donate button, and so you're certainly folks can donate there, but also
that pitch, which is donating to the Atlantic Council, is marked as donate to Palestine. It's not donating to Palestine. That's charity fraud.
I would encourage folks to consider the World Food Program has a...
So he's recommending donations to the World Food Program. Now, the World Food Program does not need donations. This is just an example of how incredibly dishonest this is. The reason why he's specifically choosing the World Food Program is because he thinks the UNRWA, which is the actual UN agency that directly helps Palestinian refugees, even outside of Gaza, he thinks they're Hamas. That's the IDF narrative that they are Hamas. The World Food Program does not have a lack of food. On their own website, they note this. They don't need donations. They have plenty of food. The World Food Program says they have enough food to feed 1 million people for up to 4 months. It is positioned at aid corridors and ready to be brought into Gaza by the World Food Program as soon as borders reopen. The issue is that Israel is blockading food from entering Gaza. They have enough food for 4 months. They don't need your donations to buy more food. What they need is the Israelis who this guy is shilling for to stop attempting to induce an artificial famine in Gaza by blockading food from entering it. Just a great example of how this guy attempts to reframe a problem, which is Israel intentionally inducing a famine in Gaza as a means of genocide and ethnic cleansing, and tries to frame it as we don't know who's doing this. What we need here is more donations. Fucking disgusting. This guy and people like him, their entire MO is to try and frame the actions of the Israeli state as somehow the blame of a force of nature, if not the Palestinians themselves. You know what the problem is in Gaza? Israel is genociding Gaza. Israel is ethnic cleansing Gaza. They have openly announced this. Netanyahu said just 2 weeks ago that the forced expulsion of Palestinians from Gaza is inevitable, and he said to his parliamentary committee that the army is intentionally destroying more and more homes in order to force people to leave. And he said that Israel will control all of Gaza. And this guy has nothing to say about that. What he has things to say about is about Hassan Piker and Bad Empanada. He's outright 5 days after Netanyahu said that, He was on fucking Twitter saying like, why are people against this? Why are people against Netanyahu's ethnic cleansing plan? It's not an ethnic cleansing plan. He's just trying to get them out of harm's way, out of a war zone. This is the person who Ethan Klein decided to bring onto his podcast after almost years of this point of doing Zionist propaganda. Ethan Klein, who has claimed to be a stalwart defender of the Palestinian people. His way of centering Palestinians, of finally advocating for the Palestinians who he has claimed before are currently facing a genocide and who he claims to support, is to invite the one Palestinian token who he could find and get that guy to frame the genocide being carried out by Israel against Gaza as the fault of the Palestinians in Gaza themselves. And Israel is blameless in it. Welcome to, the staunch defender of the Palestinian people, Ethan Klein. I'll show you the clip of him saying that. Here is Ethan Klein claiming that he's a stalwart supporter of the Palestinian people, which is weird given that he hasn't fundraised for them at all until now, where he's fundraising for the fucking Atlantic Council, a pro-Israel think tank funded by the US government, and he has never invited like an actual pro-Palestinian onto his show to just let them speak. Instead, he invites the one pro-Israel Palestinian that he could find to do so.
The problem wasn't that he was pro-Palestinian, because I share a lot of those views, and I've been a stalwart supporter of the Palestinian cause for many years.
Yeah, dude, yeah. Charity fraud. Federal criminal. Felony committer. What more is there to say about these people?